Hi, welcome to Talia, where we do dumb things. Welcome to Movie Alley Week 4, where we are talking about different movies. But today we're just talking about one. I'm Evan, this is Haley, and we're in a parking lot right now.
Yes, we're not filming where we have been, but we're working on that, and we're working on new stuff in general. But we're going to be discussing Terminator today, which...
Terminator Dark Fate?
Yeah, Terminator Dark Fate. Not a fan.
I'm not crazy on Terminator movies normally. I mean, they're pretty solid as like an action movies. Like, hey, if you just want to like go see stuff get blown up and like stuff like that, or if you're a diehard Terminator fan. But the problem is I've seen some Terminator fans that are really into it get mad because of some of the things they did, and then other ones who are like, that's pretty cool, I like that, the way they did that. So if you're like really into Terminator, you'll probably be either 50-50 on whether you love it or completely never want to see this thing again.
I don't know, it felt very much like, it felt like they were trying to make like a fan service film, but at the same time, they didn't do it good. And it just kind of felt like there really wasn't a story to tell with it.
I mean, it gives kind of, I feel like it's the same thing as Rambo almost.
Yeah.
So Rambo we talked about in another video, and it's really kind of like a fan servicey wrap-up video that they were just like, what if we made another one? It's kind of what it kind of feels like. They were done, and then they went, but what if we made another movie just so we could do some of these cool things that we never got to do?
Yeah. Or
like, hey, we have better FX now, let's do something crazy.
Yeah, and like, I don't know, they kept trying to bring back like all of these old lines, which maybe for someone who's like super duper into
I'm sure
Terminator,
those lines were pretty cool to hear, but I didn't like how they used them either.
Yeah,
really.
it felt like they were like, oh, we have this line and we have to use this somewhere in the movie, and they were like, oh, we'll just put it here. It didn't feel like it flowed where they put it, it just felt like it was forced to be where they put it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not looking at it, if you can ignore the storyline, and all the plot points, pretty solid action movie. It had nice background music, cool explosions, jumps, like, oh no, tragic death moment, but psych, here's another explosion for you, you know. So as far as like a tropey action movie, it's really good. I don't like how they handled their plot points. I'm not like diehard Terminator fan enough to care what they did in the movie. That's kind of a slap to the original series.
Yeah.
But some people like it too. But I'm not diehard enough for me to really care about that. But I also was kind of like, they really just kind of like stepped on their toes there and completely backtracked all of the other movie's plot.
I'm not a huge Terminator fan at all. I mean, I've seen the original films and
I don't like how they do time travel.
Whatever. Yeah.
That's the only thing that bothers me. I don't like the whole time travel deal because I think it kind of is a paradox of the problem of they went back in time, which means that there should be a grown-up version of themselves that goes back in time again. But if they go back in time again, they already know, which means they should know the best way to do it is not the way they're doing it. So if you give a massive grain of salt and say that we're in the first scenario that's ever happened of them going back in time, sure. But I just think that's a lot of like stretching of what ifs. And I think at that point you can just be like, well, what if they did this? And then it completely disregards the whole movie.
A very big reason why I just don't enjoy time travel in general, because there's never a solution to time travel that actually makes logical sense. It just... there's no way to do it that actually works. It works if it's in a movie like Back to the Future.
Back to the Future handled it great.
But in a movie like Back to the Future where the entire concept is time travel, and they're basically like, it's still a fun movie. It's not meant to be taken 100% seriously.
Well, that's the thing though, is they do it really solid too.
Yeah.
Like, because they leave little Easter eggs that you can find before that you're like, hey, they changed that in the future and we already saw it.
Yeah. I don't know. Terminator was decent for an action movie, but overall as a film as a whole, it felt very much just like unnecessary.
I'm going to give it an averaged score.
An average score?
Yeah, I'm going to give it a score as an action movie and then a score as a regular just film in general with plot points.
I would just like to go 2 across the board.
2 across the board?
Yeah.
I'm saying as an action movie, it's a solid 3.5 or 4. As a movie with... I'm rating with plot a 2, without plot and just as an action movie that you're just watching because you want to watch something get blown up, 3.5 or 4. So I'm going to average it as a like 2.75.
Okay.
It's like a very long mark on the board, but not a full mark. It's like a little shorter than the rest of them.
But, I mean, like, it wasn't... It just, I don't know, I just didn't see the point of it. It felt like it was such, like, this thing, like, they kept talking about this movie, and I feel like they put a lot of money into it, and the payoff wasn't there for what they intended.
I'll say this. I was worried that
it was a cash grab movie.
Kind of felt like it. I was worried I was going to hate the new character, because I felt like they were just throwing her in from nowhere, but I actually really liked the way the main character was actually really good.
Yeah, it was actually kind of the original characters that kind of fell short on their plot.
Right, yeah, that was actually what kind of bothered me about the movie, is it's like Sarah in the original term. Well, it wasn't actually the original one is the thing. It's one of the original models, but it wasn't even like the one we know, obviously, because movies happen.
Yep.
But he was one of the original models and stuff that Sarah knew, but they kind of fell flat a little bit compared to the new characters. The new characters were actually pretty amazing. I almost probably would have rather seen the movie without our old characters that we knew. Because other than the ladies both had pretty decent growth, and their stories made sense with time travel, actually.
Yeah, it did. It was interesting how it was handled.
That's why it gets a 2.5 or 2.75. Well, 2.5 was a plot movie, and then the other one, because of their story.
Gotcha. So that's where we're leaning. Not huge, great scores from us.
I'd probably maybe watch it again eventually if I was doing like a Terminator watch a marathon. I'd probably watch it just cause, but other than that, probably
not
wouldn't.
To watch it like
not by itself.
So yeah, not great scores from us on this one. And we didn't get a video up on Wednesday. We've just been super busy. We're going out of town this weekend. And next week, though, the goal is we're going to do a video on Dr. Sleep and some other video, possibly Motherless Brooklyn. We've got to see what times work out best.
I want to see that. I might be seeing Harriet eventually, possibly.
Yeah, Harriet too next week. So we're looking at definitely 2 videos next week, possibly a third one of our weekend this weekend. We're kind of just going to see how it goes and what's going on, because we're going to be doing a bunch of different stuff this weekend. So, but, right.
That's it for Tally Alley, Movie Alley Week 4. Bang.